If you want to get the most out of your trip to Athens, here's how I'd do it. Not by racing from one attraction to the next, but by slowing down and walking through one of the world's oldest cities. Like my previous video on Rome, today is about exploring Athens on foot. Unlike Rome, Athens streets definitely have more hills and stairs, so pick your footwear carefully. Welcome to Travel On. Let's go. I would actually start at the Ancient Agora. If there was one place that served as the heart of ancient Athens, this was it. More than 2,000 years ago, this wasn't just an open square. It was the center of everyday life. People came here to shop, debate politics, hear the latest news, attend religious festivals, and simply catch up with friends. If you wanted to know what was happening in Athens, this is where you came. I recommend getting here early in the morning as the crowds are smaller and the temperatures are cooler, and the morning light is beautiful for photographs. You'll also have a chance to wander around before the larger tour groups begin arriving. Take your time here. There isn't a single route you have to follow. One of the best parts of the Agora is simply wandering among the ruins and imagining what this place looked like when it was filled with merchants, philosophers, and ordinary Athenians going about their day. Be sure to spend some time inside the Stoa of Attalos. The original building stretched nearly 400 feet along the edge of the marketplace and was reconstructed during the 1950s using many of the original materials. Today, it's a museum with stuff they found in the Agora during their excavations, and it gives you one of the best impressions of what this marketplace looked like before it became ruins. From there, make your way across the Agora up to the Temple of Hephaestus. If the Parthenon is Athens' most famous temple, this may be its most complete. Oddly enough, the two temples were built around the same time, but the Temple of Hephaestus has survived more intact. Standing here, it's easy to imagine what ancient Athens must have looked like. Many visitors rush through here on their way to the Acropolis, but I think this temple deserves to be appreciated on its own. I mean, it's one thing to be told what the ancient temples must have looked like, but it's a totally different thing to actually see it. Plan on spending about 2.5 hours exploring the Agora and the Temple of Hephaestus. There's plenty to see, and this isn't the kind of place you want to rush. When you're ready, leave the quiet ruins of the Agora behind and head toward Monastiraki Square. It's only about a 10-minute walk, but the atmosphere is completely different. Suddenly, you're surrounded by a much more lively atmosphere and some of the busiest streets in Athens. Spend a little time wandering through the streets of this neighborhood. If something catches your eye, stop and explore. That's part of the fun here. This is also a great place to grab a coffee if you need one before continuing on. Just a few minutes away, you'll come to the Roman Agora. After the Romans took control of Greece, they built a new marketplace nearby that better suited the growing city. It's smaller than the ancient Agora, but it's worth visiting even for a short while. Don't miss the Tower of the Winds while you're here. It may not look particularly impressive at first glance, but it's considered one of the world's earliest meteorological stations. The 8-sided marble tower once functioned as a clock, weather vane, and sundial all at the same time. It's one of those places that's easy to overlook if you don't know what you're looking at. Known as the neighborhood of the gods, Plaka sits beneath the northern slopes of the Acropolis and is filled with restaurants, cafes, and narrow pedestrian streets, which get even more narrow when the tables are out. Find a table, order a leisurely lunch, and don't worry about the schedule for a while. Sometimes the moments you remember most aren't the famous landmarks at all, but the quiet streets between them. Eventually, begin making your way uphill toward one of my favorite neighborhoods in Athens, Anafiotika. Within just a few minutes, the busy streets of Plaka disappear behind you, and you're suddenly surrounded by whitewashed houses, narrow staircases, colorful flowers, and tiny alleyways that feel like they've been brought here from one of the Greek islands. This neighborhood is not ancient. It was built during the 19th century by workers from the island of Anafi, and more than 150 years later, it still feels like you've stumbled onto a hidden island village beneath the Acropolis. When you're ready, make your way back down toward the Theater of Dionysos. This is considered the birthplace of Greek drama, where the plays of Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes were first performed before audiences more than 2,000 years ago. The stone seats are not original to the theater and were added around 330 BC. And while it may seem natural that there are stone seats in a theater in Athens, the audiences for the premieres of Antigone, Oedipus Rex, and Lysistrata would have actually been sitting on wooden benches that climbed a hillside. Still, it was nice to sit in the shadow of the Acropolis and absorb some of that literary magic. A little farther along, you'll come to the Odeon of Herodes Atticus. Even today, this ancient theater still hosts concerts and performances, making it one of the oldest entertainment venues in the world that continues to serve its original purpose. Not far away is Areopagus Hill. The climb only takes a few minutes, but the reward is one of my favorite views in Athens. Above you, the Acropolis rises from the rock exactly as it has for centuries, and below you, the city stretches in every direction, and you can see many of the landmarks you've passed along the way today. My wife and I stumbled upon this place by accident once around 1 a.m., and there were still plenty of people out enjoying the night, some playing guitar, others relaxing on blankets with munchies and beverages. I'm sure there were even a few people watching one of my videos and clicking like and subscribe. It could happen. The hills in Anafiotika were just a warm-up for the mother of all Athenian hills, the Acropolis. My biggest piece of advice is to get here early. Not only will you avoid the hottest part of the day, but you'll also have a much better chance of experiencing the Acropolis before the largest crowds arrive. Now, it's time for the climb. Fortunately, it isn't especially long, but it is uphill, and parts of the path can become surprisingly slippery, especially where centuries of footsteps have polished the marble smooth. If you're uncomfortable with this, or just want to take a somewhat less crowded route to the entrance, there is a south slope entrance. Either way, both entrances pass through the Propylaea as you enter one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. And then, bam! There it is, the Parthenon. No matter how many pictures you've seen, it's not enough. Standing beside it is something entirely different. Take your time here. This isn't a place to rush through in 15 minutes. Just like the Colosseum in Rome, it doesn't matter what your background is. Engineering, religion, history, sociology, whatever. You will find something impressive here. Then, step away from the crowds for a moment and look out across the city. From here, you can see nearly everything we've explored so far. Before leaving the summit, don't miss the Erechtheion. While the Parthenon usually gets most of the attention, the Erechtheion has one of the most recognizable features in all of Greece, the Porch of the Caryatids, where sculpted female figures take the place of ordinary columns. The statues you see here today are not the originals. Those are kept in the Acropolis Museum, but you wouldn't know to look at them, and they still create one of the most defining images of ancient Greece. Nearby, you'll also find the Temple of Athena Nike. It's much smaller than the Parthenon, which means many visitors barely notice it, but its location, overlooking the entrance to the Acropolis, makes it one of the most photogenic spots on the hill. Altogether, plan on spending at least 3 to 4 hours exploring the Acropolis, including the lines getting up and coming back down. There's no prize for finishing quickly. This is the highlight of the trip. Take the photographs you've been waiting for. Find a quiet place to admire the view. Simply enjoy being here. It's time to visit one of the best museums in Greece, the Acropolis Museum. Inside, you'll see many of the original sculptures and architectural details that once decorated the Acropolis. You'll also get a much better appreciation for how colorful these temples originally were. I mean, it's easy to think of ancient Greece as a world of white marble, but many of these ancient buildings were actually once painted in bright colors. You could spend about 2 hours here without even thinking about it. Tired of the crowds? Well, let's go to Philopappos Hill. Although it's only a short walk from the Acropolis, it feels like a completely different world. The busy streets fade away, replaced by pine trees, stone paths, and some of the best panoramic views of the city. If you're looking for one of the best places to photograph the Parthenon, this may be it. Rising above the city exactly as generations of Athenians have seen it. As you make your way back down the hill, you'll come to a group of rock-cut chambers often called the prison of Socrates. Now, despite the name, historians generally don't believe Socrates was actually imprisoned here. Still, they've become closely associated with the famous philosopher, and they're an interesting stop on your way down. Eventually, make your way toward the Temple of Olympian Zeus. Although only a handful of its original columns remain standing today, it's still impressive to think about the scale of this temple when it was completed nearly 2,000 years ago. Construction actually began centuries earlier, making it one of those projects that seemed to take forever before finally being finished under the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Coincidentally, just across the road stands Hadrian's Arch. It's a small monument, but an important one. In many ways, it marked the transition between the old Greek city and the newer Roman Athens that developed around it. From there, continue into the National Garden. After several days of walking among ancient ruins and busy streets, the gardens provide a welcome change of pace. Take your time strolling beneath the shade of the trees before making your way towards Syntagma Square. This is the heart of modern Athens. Here you'll find the Greek Parliament and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where the famous Evzones stand guard in their traditional uniforms. If your timing works out, stay and watch the changing of the guard. It's one of those ceremonies that's both fascinating and surprisingly moving. About an hour before sunset, begin making your way toward Lycabettus Hill. The climb isn't especially long, but it is steady, and fortunately, there are plenty of places to rest along the way. Eventually, you'll reach the summit and the small white church of St. George. It's one of those views that makes the city suddenly feel much smaller and more familiar. If you've timed your climb well, you'll be here as the sun begins to set over Athens. Watch as the city slowly changes from the warm colors of late afternoon to the lights of evening. Stay as long as you'd like. You've earned this. And when you're ready to head back down, don't feel like you have to walk. We also climbed up the hill on foot, but after several days of exploring, we happily took the funicular back down. I don't consider that cheating. It's more like ending a wonderful trip on a comfortable note. If you've enjoyed seeing Athens with me, please like this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe. But until next time, stay safe and travel on.